Hey everyone, today we are going to be doing a little bit of a one-off video, and this is gonna be about the builds that I have. Now, right off the bat I wanna mention that these builds are by no means perfect, and I know that I could utilize my special setup better, with better perks, but I found it the most comfortable way of playing while having these perks, and I'll explain when we get there why I say that. And yes, you can re-at me for, when I have a better perk loadout than you do, and my build can one-shot this and one-shot that, and blah blah blah. I don't care, okay? Everybody has their own perk loadouts. I'm not saying mine is the best, I'm just saying what I'm using and why I'm using it. That's it. Here we are just here to have a little bit of a friendly conversation about perk loadouts and whatnot. So yeah, let's get right into it. This is my main character, Emily, who is named after my favorite comic character. And yes, that's a bit of a self-promotion. You can check it out if you want. She used to be a stealth sniper, but that got transferred to my secondary character, and now she is a heavy gunner, as you can see. Now, I don't have 15 in strengths, and I'll tell you why. Basically, for heavy gunner purposes, I only need these perks and bare arms. The reason why I like bare arms is because, call me an idiot, but for me the funnest way to play is to basically be able to use any sort of weapon and bring it along myself. If I weren't using bare arms, I could probably carry one or two heavy weapons at most, one at a time, even if they were 90% reduced weight legendary effect. But with this perk I can actually carry around the following weapons. I got a bloodied Gatling plasma, which was probably duped, but whatever. A friend of mine gave it to me when I drew him for a drawing challenge. And yeah, it's a pretty good setup, as you can see, probably the best for this sort of weapon. Then we got the weapon I showcased in the previous video, the bloodied Gauss minigun, which I intend to get a better roll, a 3-star hopefully with the bloodied, but that will require a bit more luck, I guess. Then we got the bloodied plasma caster, which I used to showcase in my plasma caster tutorial. It's not the great, but it's at least a 3-star. Then we got the bloodied ultrasight Gatling laser with more damage while aiming. I think this is probably my favorite setup for this sort of legendary, because I don't really rate higher fire rate that much for a weapon like this. It's alright to have the damage while aiming, and also the aiming resistance is especially useful. So yeah, it's a pretty good setup. I got this from Murmur way back, and I really hope that they're gonna fix the texture issue with it, because it now looks like a normal Gatling laser instead of an ultrasight one. And here is Cranky, who people thought it was some sort of a special weapon given by somebody. That no, I just named it Cranky because I need to crank it to actually fire it. It makes sense. And then, it's bloodied Vet's hit chance, which is bugged, but it's not high fire rate, so I don't think it's actually doing much. I rather have it for everyday purposes, just to snipe the mobs with it. And the perception is especially coming really useful. Most of these weapons have been found by me, by the way. I didn't actually trade for them, except that one gifted weapon that I showed at the beginning. Then we got Doorbreaker, which is a bloody faster swing speed and +1 agility Fire X. I love the Fire X, it looks great, it's easy to maintain, and its damage is a shit ton. Then we got the Expo Storm, which is probably has to be my favorite heavy weapon, even better than the Plasma Caster and the Gauss minigun, especially because of the paint that has on it, the Brotherhood of Steel one. Because this character is a Brotherhood of Steel character, so yeah, it fits in. And we have the accelerated barrel, and this is an explosive bloodied one. I would rather have the more damage while aiming one, so if somebody has that, I could probably trade it, but this isn't too bad. And the more damage while aiming isn't that bad either. Then we got the bow, which I got yesterday from a random purveyor pool. It's not that great, but I like playing with it when I'm not running full heavy weapons, and I'm gonna show you why I can run this. And I think last but not least we got, yes, a quad explosive harpoon gun, which is now a legacy item supposedly. I used to get, I had a drop from the legendary sheep squatch, the impostor sheep squatch, that was a bloodied faster reload explosive dragon. And that was back at the time when it actually came out, so it's like a year ago now. But basically I got that, and I was like, man, I'm not a rifle user, so maybe somebody can trade this for me with the, quad explosive harpoon gun. And then somebody was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna trade this for you. Well, that's definitely what I need, because, faster reload actually matters a lot on a dragon. So yeah, that's how I got that one. So this is probably the only weapon that I actually traded for. It's a really good weapon. Then for apparel, we just got some unyielding stuff, and officer Brotherhood Under Armor because it gives you more strength and endurance, because I need endurance because I don't have much, as you will see from my setup. Anyway, back to the actual loadout. The perception, I need 3 because I like using my lockpick if I need to, but right now I can actually switch it around and have, most of the time I have glow sight, either on rank 2 and then with green thumb. That's really good for nuke zones. Or as you can see, for everyday use now I have the first rank of the archers. And you might ask, okay, why don't I have it, from the 1 perk and then have it on rank 3? Well, if you look at it, basically the first rank or first perk of each perk, so like, archer, expert archer, and master archer, is gonna give you 10% bonus damage, so that's 30% altogether with my 3 perks. But if I had 3 ranks of 1, it would only give me 20% damage, because the second and third rank only gives you 5 and 5 extra damage percent. So that's why whenever you are using a hybrid build, which you will see on my third character, it's better to just use the first ranks of the certain perk types. That will give you, for 3 perk points, you're gonna get 30% extra damage. Unlike, having, for example, for 9 perk points, 60%, so it's only twice as much damage, but for 3 times the perk points. Anyway, moving on, as I said, I only have 1 endurance because I literally don't need this. I either use Good Doggy for easy feedability, or maybe something like Fireproof can go well as well. Then we got Lone Wanderer, because why not? If I'm in a team, I just, swap it out for something like, I don't know, Bodyguard or something like that, even though it doesn't do much for me. And then Hardbargain is always on because, I don't like switching it on and off. And then Travel Agent. Now, Intelligence is interesting because Intelligence is probably my most flexible perk setup. I always have batteries included for all types of ammunition. That's a necessary thing, especially for my fusion cores. Then I have Gunsmith on either rank 3 or rank 5, usually rank 5 for the everyday use. But then I can either put on Nerd Rage, or I can put on, if I jump into Power Armor, the Stabilized, which is really useful as well. Or if I'm using explosive weapons, I can also put on a few ranks of the Demolition Expert. As you can see, I have a rank 3, so I can just swap out that, for example, the Nerd Rage to a rank 3 of Demolition Expert. Agility, I always have Action Girl on, usually Marathoner because I like running. You need to get away from folks. But I either have on Adrenaline, or sometimes I also like, where is it? There it is, Gunfu. Gunfu is really useful for example, my cranky gun, which is just, one-shotting enemies and then one-shotting even more enemies because more damage. But yeah, that's pretty much for agility. And then, of course, Bloody Mass. 1 gun arm is necessary for a heavy gunner. Serendipity on rank 1, because rank 1 is still really good. And then Crest Freak and Star Genes, of course, because I'm running a shit ton of mutations, by the way. If you haven't already seen, my mutations are the Adrenaline Reaction, Bird Bones, because I hate falling down in Power Armor. Yeah, basically this doesn't say so, but basically with Bird Bones, you can fall with a Power Armor from much higher range and it won't get you stuck in that stupid landing animation. So for me, this, even though I don't really care about the agility and the reduced fall speed, I definitely like it because of that one thing, that the Power Armor is much more usable. So yeah, that's why I'm using it. Then we got Carnivore, because let's be honest, I don't really eat vegetables. Egghead is useful because I used to be a craftsman character. I still am. I pretty much have all the plans that are available that are not like ultra rare, like dev room plans and stuff. And for that I like Intelligence because that usually helps crafting stuff. And then Healing Factor, of course. Then Marsupial, because that's necessary. Scaly Skin is really useful. That 12 AP isn't anything basically. And then Speed Demon. That's pretty much my setup for this character. And yeah, this is probably one of the, I don't know, most flexible heavy gunner character that I could make for myself. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that one. Let's move on to the next one. And we are back with our secondary character, the Stealth Commando, who is supposed to be a raider. Sadly, there aren't many good choices for a raider-style weaponry as far as Stealth Commando go. I do have a Bloodied Fixer, which I managed to get off of a Purveyor drop. That's his chance is really good, and that critical meter fielding is just amazing. I really like this weapon. It's probably my best weapon, of course. I just got a normal anti-armor bashing damage, handmade, which I just got randomly. I still want to get the bloodied one, but those are expensive. Then I get a bloody faster fire rate, laser rifle, which is really nice, even though, you know, most people don't really like them. As long as you can get the crits going, this is amazing weapon. Then we got a bloodied, more less critical shots and more less critical filling plasma rifle. This is also pretty nice. Does really well against crowd control situations. Or in crowd control situations. Then we got a bloodied, explosive, more damage while reloading railway rifle. I think this is probably the best fitting weapon for a raider style character. And it does pack a punch, you know, especially now that the stupid reloading thing was fixed. Then that's pretty much it. That's just a few remaining grenades from my testing video. And of course, again, mostly unyielding, but I think I still have a chameleon one, just for better sneaking. Also, it's pretty good setup, so that's a good one. And as far as perks goes, you do have 3 ranks in strength, because, I don't know, I just like using melee weapons even on non-melee characters. Sometimes they, you know, for sparing ammunition, it's pretty good. I could usually chuck in pretty much anything in here, by the way. Probably a rank 1 of Gladiator or something for each rank. That would be just as good. Then we got, of course, all the commando perks, as well as concentrated fire and tank killer. That's pretty much necessary. For each 15 of the perception, you would pretty much need that for a fast commando. Again, not really in need of endurance, so good doggy again is a good choice. Even less charisma, because, you know, he's a raider, or she is a raider. Even less intelligence, I pretty much just run Gunsmith. Sometimes I put on rank 2 of Gunsmith and then just have Nerd Rage on for boss battles and whatnot. Then agility, we got Action Girl, Marathoner again. Covert Operative is nice for more sneak attack damage. Sneak, of course, and then last but not least, Escape Artist is really, really useful. And now we have 15 luck. So Bloody Mess, Tormentor is good for rifle things, even though it doesn't really do anything anymore because the Scorch Beast screen cannot be crippled, but whatever. It's supposedly getting fixed. Then some what critical shots. Again, this is the same type of perk than with the damage perks. As you can see, the first rank gives you 20%, and then each rank is only give you 10. So it's worth having one rank, and then because that gives you the biggest boost from the original 0, and the other 2 is just more so optional. And we got Serendipity again. 4-leaf cover is really useful for a stealth commando build, and then class 3 can start Stargenes once more. So that's pretty much this build. Let's move on to the last one. Okay, last but not least, he is Christoph, our third character, who usually I actually use a lot more because of the new Gauss shotgun. He started off as a shotgunner and explosives user guy, but then of course I realized that explosives aren't really that good. Even though he did fairly okay, I guess he was a Junkies build from the get-go. Now I kind of transferred him to be a hybrid build of Junkies and Bloodied. And, you know, Bloodied basically just does much more damage, but even if I'm not at the lowest health, for example, in Uranium Fever, I can still do a lot with my Junkies shotgun, which I'm actually gonna showcase right now. So I got a Bloodied shotgun for now, with more bash damage perception. That's not really a good setup, but, you know, it's at least Bloodied. Then we got the Bloodied Ghost shotgun, which is a limb damage one. Also, can you... Okay, the game is glitching out. I don't know what's happening. And here is the Junkies anti-power armor, not anti-armor. Somebody pointed out that I have 2 main legendary effects. No, it's just the anti-power armor because of the receiver. So yeah, this is the one that fires weird projectiles even though it's a flamer. It's a pretty good one. And then we got the Junkies Bullets Explosive Combat Rifle. Finally, it stopped glitching out, cool. And yes, I deliberately don't have a suppressor on it. I like range for this weapon in particular. This one, however, has a suppressor, and this is a Junkies Faster Reload Handmade. This is a really good one. I really like using this. Then we got a... for ammo sparing, basically, just Junkies Explosive, more wet critical chance automatic pipe rifle. I got like 7,000 ammunition for this, so that's why I'm using it there. And the Junkies more reduced weight Tesla rifle. I really like using this as well for example, ghoul clearing, so just, you know, crowd control situations. Then we got this one, which I got from a purveyor. This is a really good drop, by the way. And yes, I know that I should put a longer barrel on it, but I hate the way that looks, so I actually prefer the New Vegas look on these ones. I really hope that they add the silence version of this receiver at some point, or barrel rather. So yeah, it's Bullets Explosive and Faster Reload. Pretty good setup for a gun like this. And finally, we got probably my dream weapon, a Junkies more power attack damage and reduced weight Sheep Squatch Club. If you don't already know, the Sheep Squatch Club is probably the most powerful 100 melee weapon in the game. And yeah, it does pack a punch. Even though I'm not fully spec'd for it, as you will see, it's still devastating in pretty much any situation. And last but not least, I don't have the junkie shotgun on me. Anyway, yeah, I know that this was only transferred recently to be a bloodied version as well, and that's why I still have the stupid Vanguard species. I need to get myself some unyielding or chameleon or something like that. But yeah, so the armor isn't any spectacular, I don't think. But when it comes to perks, as you can see, I'm a fairly hybrid build right now. I got the shotgun perks right here, as well as some gladiator perks, which are really useful for that Sheep Squatch Club. And I should probably switch out blocker for one of the gladiator perks again. Anyway, we got 12 in perception because, as you saw, I have quite a few rifles. So I do have tank killer, commando, expert commando, skeet shooter for shotguns, and I sometimes swap out glow sight for the first perks of the rifleman because, you know, the plasma flamethrower, for example, is counted as a rifle, and it's useful to have those extra damage right there. Then I got endurance with slow metabolizer, and some few charisma perks, same as the last character. I did have instead of the armorer, the demolition expert on, but for easy, you know, everyday use, I just use gunsmith. Then we got action boy again. Enforcer is probably the most important for a shotgun user. Sneak here as well because I like my sneak, and escape artist. And last but not least, luck. Yeah, I know I should probably have more luck, but my perk points had to go into perception and strength most of the time. So I might, you know, put up some of the intelligence points over here, but for now it does it for me. Bloody Mess is probably the best luck perk, and then Star Genes, you know, because I had to start running mutations recently. If I wasn't using mutations, I would suggest putting on better criticals again, just, you know, that's just 1 point, and then every critical is gonna do you 20% more damage, as well as, for example, something like, where is it? Critical savvy is also good, but 4-leaf cover if you use automatic weapons. So anyway, that's the points. And for this one I have a bit less mutations. I think it's the... Yeah, as you can see, these are my addictions. I know that these aren't the most ideal one, but when I was doing it, I just got whatever I wanted with it, and then just didn't bother checking it or switching them up. Then we got, of course, adrenaline reaction, healing factor, marsupial, and scaly skin. I consider these to be probably the most important mutations. Of course, there is speed demon, but I just despise the higher rate of hunger and water neediness or drench. How do you call that? Neediness. So I usually don't put that on if I don't need to. I think probably healing factor is one of the best everyday use perks, as well as the marsupial. And skin is just good in general for that extra damage and energy resistance, for the extra survivability. So yeah, that's pretty much my 3 character. I do plan on making a 4th one because if I understood correctly, then the upcoming, you know, that season pass thingy, sometimes stuff like, I don't know, level up, for example, is going to be a requirement, and all of these characters are over 150 levels now, so they actually will need to need to create a character that can level up much easier than these guys, because they take little ages to level up even once. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and I found it informative in somewhat, and I see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.